Well, good morning, everybody. This is our October 1st meeting of the Tennessee Auctioneer Commission. Would Donna call the roll?
Marlon Alexander.
Here.
Bobby Colson. Gary Cunningham. Jeff Morris.
Here.
Howard Phillips.
Here.
Gab Ford.
Well, thank you so much. Everybody would like to take a look at the agenda for today. We need to vote on that.
A couple of announcements.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to bring up on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'd asked Mr. John Sanders, talked to him Friday. He's driving over from East Tennessee. I asked him if he could be here at 10 o'clock. I know we didn't put him on the agenda at 10, but we're really not putting times on there now. Or one of you, Mr. Sanders? Okay. If we could move him up or keep him at 10 o'clock like I asked so he could get back home, I'd appreciate it.
Not a problem. We'll try to move right along and be mindful of that. I guess we need to adopt the agenda for today.
I'd make a motion we adopt the agenda to approve the agenda and hear any other business that might come up that we have tonight.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll take a look at the minutes from last meeting. Review those for a second. Those will be in tab 1 of your iPad. All you do is take your finger and swipe it. That's what you from page to page. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Yes.
Go ahead. Chair, please hear a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll accept
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. His resident not here. Does she have an update for the CE program?
We haven't heard that she's not coming in. She may be
You want
running
to
a little
pass
bit
by
late.
that and move on to the next item so maybe see if she shows up? Will that work for you? Something you want to wait and see if she shows?
Yes, because she hasn't given us anything to report in her absence.
I'll say this tab 2 is here on Uniform Commercial Code. I don't know if that's something she wants to go over or not.
She had emailed me and said she would be here on Friday.
Okay.
Ready for she's
All right. Well, why don't we go on down to the legal report at this time, and we can come back up to the update on seminars and newsletters. We will.
Adrian is on the agenda to give a report regarding some cases here. I believe up in Chancery Court. I found out this morning he's on vacation with his family, so I don't know. We may have to defer his report until next month, if that's okay. And I believe Mark has some things to update you on.
Yes, real briefly, we've had two scheduled court hearings for today, Mr. Chairman, and I'll kind of give you an update on those. I'll speak somewhat on Mr. Chick's. I don't have the exact details of that case that are one of 30 that are pending up in Chancery Court. I think there's been motions filed. I'm not exactly sure. This is this case, Mr. Chick, since he began with it a long time ago, he's followed through with it. The last I heard, the Chancery Court had not issued a ruling. I think there are motions filed on both sides that are pending up at the Chancery Court, and we're kind of waiting. It's my understanding they're being waited for a ruling from the Chancery Court. So until that happens, I don't know that there's any further action that we can take on those cases. We're kind of at the mercy of the Chancery Court.
Is this on that big case?
That big, very big case. So that's what I know. I think that's what Donna and Julie know at this point. And so I don't know if there's anything else we can report on that. As far as the two cases that we had scheduled for formal hearing today, one of them it was the matter of the state versus actual highway thrift. That matter, we had a service issue. The person has left the person would not been able to get them served. Apparently they had moved. It was an unlicensed activity case, and so we've not been able to get them adequately served with due notice to proceed with the hearing. So I had to file a motion for continuance. The other matter was state versus Ken Roebuck and state versus asset recovery auctions. We did get service on that. I proceeded with several filings of exhibits and witnesses, had witnesses lined up. Strangely, did not hear anything from that individual for several weeks after filing it. Was preparing to go forward today, had the court reporter today, LJ lined up, and on Thursday an attorney contacted me, said he'd been retained. He filed a motion for continuance based on the fact that he had just been retained. I opposed it. We had a teleconference with the judge. The judge granted the motion somewhat reluctantly, but granted it because the attorney had just been retained, and so therefore that's why we're not having a hearing today. So it has been continued. I asked that if we're going to continue it, that we do so to our next hearing, and not delay it any further. The other attorney agreed with that, and so we have that scheduled for November 5th. I don't anticipate there being any further continuance in that matter. So that's the status of litigation.
Okay, thank you for that, Mark. Julie?
All right. I'll start with the legal report now. The first matter, 2012015.
Let me interrupt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get everybody on the same page. No, it's right here. It might, is it? Follow along right there. One, say, drag your finger across and drag it back. Which one is this? All right. I will just all out. Leave the rate and turn it upward. A little bit bigger. Okay. Go ahead, Julie.
Okay. The first matter, 2012-015-021, I'm going to need to ask that we defer this until next month. It found after I'd submitted this to staff to load the iPads that there's some additional information I needed to get, and there's a request out. So if we could, we'll defer it until the November meeting, if that's all right with you all, and move to number 2. Number 2 is 2012-015-051. This complaint was opened based on an email which was forwarded to TAC. The original email was sent from the respondent, which is unlicensed, which is a Tennessee licensed real estate firm. The email announced an online auction. Respondent submitted a reply stating that respondent was contacted by a corporation which was conducting a subject auction which needed respondent's assistance with handling access to the property for prospective bidders. Respondent states that respondent was not asked to participate in the actual auction. To assist with publicizing the auction, respondent's marketing director sent out an email blast. The blast email included a photo of the property and provided links to the corporation's auction brochure and the registration form for the subject property. The auction brochure and registration form did not reference respondent, but only referenced the corporation which was handling the subject auction. Respondent states that it did not mean to cause confusion by sending the email. Based on the information included in the auction brochure and registration, it appears that this was an online auction which had a designated beginning and ending time and does not appear to have included a simulcast, and therefore is included within the exemption found within Tennessee Code annotated section 62-19-103 subsection 9, and therefore the recommendation is to dismiss.
Not to influence the decision or anything about what we do, but these lines are getting more blurry all the time between whether they're online simulcast, whether the real estate firm's involved, whether it's I really wish we had some help from the legislature on some of this stuff, because it is really getting blurry about who's doing what, and I wish we had some help there too. I don't know what we can do about it, but it's everybody's looking for every angle they can to skirt around being a licensed auctioneer in the state of Tennessee at this point.
Based on all the information that I found on the website and all the information, it was a timed auction, and that there was not a live one taking place as well. There's no indication of information that I could see otherwise in this instance.
Yeah, and we use the word live and online, they're the same. I mean, really. Whether you're doing it electronically or standing there in the room, it's you're actually performing the same service in a different way. That's what's so fuzzy about it, really getting tough. Chair would entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion we accept legal counsel's advice.
Second. Been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion carries. Go ahead.
Number 3, 2012-015-431. This complaint was submitted by a representative from a sheriff's department who stated in the complaint that an individual operating an estate sale business got a civil judgment for failure to pay a client and then refused to pay it, resulting in criminal prosecution. During the investigation process, complainant checked the individual's present and former business with tax staff and was advised to file the complaint. The complaint does not provide any additional information or documentation. The complaint was opened against respondent, which is unlicensed, which is an estate sale business, but is not the business which was referenced by complainant as the individual's business who had received the civil judgment. Respondent submitted a reply through the operator of respondent stating that a copy of the complaint was received and the individual referenced in the complaint had moved out of state, but prior to moving had helped the operator start respondent estate sale business and set up a website. The operator of respondent states the individual referenced in the complaint moved out of state and opened a very similarly named business to respondent's name, but the two companies are in no way affiliated. Counsel's attempts to contact complainant by telephone to obtain more information were unsuccessful. Based on the information contained within the file and information contained online, there is no indication that respondent was performing auction services without a license, but is merely an estate sale business, and therefore the recommendation is to dismiss.
Questions from the board?
When you say an estate sale finish, what were they actually doing?
It said on the advertisement that I located online that They're professional estate sale coordinators. Staging, pricing, setup, research, and appraisal of items, marketing and advertising the sale, hosting a 2 to 3 day sale, and final cleanup haul off of remaining items. There's no reference to them performing auctions.
But a lot of these people, the last day have an auction. Do we know if that actually happened?
I have no indication indicating that, and like I said, the complaint was a little fuzzy. It was submitted by a sheriff's deputy. It appears that there was a civil judgment against an individual, and I think my guess is that based on the response is that a similarly named business was opened by that individual that somehow got the lines crossed, and this complaint was opened against this company. I don't have any. I never could get in contact with the complainant to get more information, and based on, there was no documentation provided. The complaint was very, very short, and I could find no information that these people were doing auctions. I spoke with the person who's operating this business. She said,
But if you didn't ask them if they actually had an auction at any time here.
I did. I spoke with the respondent, and I said, do you conduct auctions? Have you had auctions at these estates? It was her response that no, there was not. And like I said, the complaint was very unclear, and I couldn't get into contact with the complainant to get more information.
This seems like a complaint that you shouldn't have got personally.
I don't know a lot of information here. If he gets back with me and we receive further information, and if there's something going on here, we can always reopen it. But at this point in time, there's just no indication of unlicensed auction practice here based on the information that I was able to obtain.
Any other questions on the board?
I make a motion to accept legal's advice.
Second.
It's been made and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor say aye. All in favor, all against. Motion passes. Next item.
Number 4, 2012-018-301. This is a complaint which was opened based on an anonymous complaint that stated that respondent, unlicensed, frequently holds tack and horse sales and uses unlicensed individuals to hold those auctions. Respondent submitted a reply denying complainant's allegations of utilizing unlicensed auctioneers and stating that respondent does use a licensed auctioneer for its sales. Respondent included a copy of the individual's licensed auctioneer license. Based on a check of the United States Department of Agriculture, Packers and Stockyards Administration website, respondent is listed as a regulated entity. Therefore, the recommendation is to dismiss.
What's the basis for the unlicensed accusation?
It was an anonymous complaint that basically just said these people are using unlicensed auctioneers. As I said, it was an anonymous complaint, so I was unable to get more information than that. I can double check, but I don't believe there was any documentation provided with it. And like I said, these people responded with a copy of the license denying the claims. And actually, I believe they were quite insulted.
Are you satisfied that they did have a license on?
There's a copy provided of an auctioneer's license, which is currently on active status. It's not expired.
Did they have regular auctions?
They do appear to conduct auctions semi-regularly, I believe, maybe once, twice a month. They have these livestock auctions.
Well, could you not get somebody to check on it and see if there is a licensed auctioneer doing it?
We can send an investigator if you all would like. It's just based on the fact that it was an anonymous complaint that they provided it. That was the recommendation. But if you all would like to send an investigator, we can certainly do that.
One thing you might want to find out if they're having just tax sales and personal property sales without having the livestock. If they're doing that, they're illegal. Those Packers and Stockyards does not regulate anything except the livestock. Just because you've got a livestock barn, registered Packers and Stockyards, but if they're having different type auctions, then
So attacking personal property.
yeah, attacking personal property. And that's what a lot of the small sale barns are doing now. The horse business is not good enough. They quit the horse business, going to the other type of sales. And then if they're doing that, they're not regulated by Packers and Stockyards. They got to have a firm license and a license auctioneer.
So you're saying that if they're selling anything other than horses and livestock,
Not as long as they're connected with it. I think it because they're running that money with the horse and livestock through the PSC account. But if they go down there next Saturday night and have just a tax sale, or any other type of merchandise, then they gotta have a firm license or a gallery license. To use a licensed auctioneer there also.
Well, if they were selling personal property like tack and saddles, and they would have to have a licensed auctioneer to do it anyway.
Yeah,
But you also have to have a firm gallery.
Right, the barn, the PSC license does not cover different type of auction if there's no livestock involved.
Right, and there's two livestock barns in the Knoxville area, and they're, like you said, they're not doing good enough, and they are having, of course, I know the guys are doing it, but they're having auctions, you know, like farm equipment and stuff, every week or two, because the stockyards need a little help. But I think if there's some smoke, it might be a little bit of fire on this one.
But they're not covered under the PSC if they're doing different type of auction.
Right.
The indication from the entity's website was that it included livestock and horses, but like I said, that's just from the online research.
Did
So.
you write the barn or request something from them?
No, they just provided a response with the license, and so, I mean, we can send an investigator to get more
I don't
information.
know if we need to investigate, but I certainly think you need to ask them what type of auctions and what they're doing. If they come back and say, you know, we're having livestock auctions, selling tack, that's great. But then if they say we're having like art sales, and that's done all the time in our area, on some of the barns, they're selling farm equipment, they're selling tack, and that PSC count does not cover. It doesn't cover it, right?
Okay.
The only way to get a pattern stockyard registered for them is to sell livestock.
And they were listed as registered on the web. Okay.
But it doesn't extend over to the other auctions.
Okay. All
A
right.
lot of people don't realize that.
Okay. Would you like for me to just write them and request that information? Just go by what they.
I would make a motion. You know, it really doesn't make any difference to me that whether or not it's a signed complaint or an unsigned. Because a lot of people won't send one in because they don't want the name put out. You know, they may be the same business, and they be the same friends and what have you. But to me, that the law says that we're looking at, you know, unsigned complaints. Right? It makes, to me, I don't think it's any less if it warrants sending an investigator. I think you just need to write them a letter. I'd make a motion that we write them a letter, ask them if they're conducting auctions on personal property, tax and personal property without having the livestock sale the same day, at a different day.
Okay. And tack. What is tack? Just for my.
Tax is saddles and bridles.
Okay.
Western, it's known as Western stuff.
So basically, I don't want to tip them off to what, you know, I don't want them to answer me the way they think I want them to answer. Should I just say, provide me with listings of the things you've auctioned maybe over the past couple months or something
Ask
along?
them, what is your regular sales day and what do you sell on those days?
Okay.
You sell livestock at every one of your auctions.
And do you have advertising? Because most of them, they advertise before they're having the sale, what they're selling.
So maybe a sample advertisement as well? Maybe a,
Well, I don't know if that makes that much difference, but I mean, I know what that license was to let them, they used to, stockyard used to have a firm license. And there was a big problem come up that they were going to try to change this whole law instead of DC. And we got changed up there in the legislature that if you're registered with the Packers and stockyards, they're more restricted than we are. And if you're under them and legally, you didn't have to have a firm license, but you had to have a licensed auctioneer. So I was there when that was passed.
okay.
And that's,
So just verify that they are selling livestock or horses at every sale that there's.
every sale they're selling.
Okay, I got it. And I will write that request and, report back next month. So we'll just,
Vote on this item, if you would follow up on that.
That's-
We'll bring it up next week.
You
that's,
gonna leave this one open?
I made a motion for you to second.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Motion passes.
it's still open. They just want more information.
Okay, fine.
Number 52011026691. This was originally presented at the January 2012 meeting. The complaint alleges that respondent failed to include its license number on advertising in violation of 62-19-118C2 and Talk Rule 0160-01-20 subsection 1. A copy of the advertising was sent with the complaint. Respondent answered that its number is always on all advertising. Respondent does not address the specific advertising in question. Furthermore, respondent stated that the intent of the law is to ensure that all auction firms may be found, and since they've been in business for so long and are an established company, they can certainly be found. The recommendation at that time was a consent order with a civil penalty of $500 for violating 62-19-118C2 and Rule 0160-1-.20 subsection 1. The decision at that time was that the Commission voted to authorize a consent order with a civil penalty of $250 for violating Section 62-19-118C2 and Rule 0160-1-.20 subsection 1. Because respondent never contacted TAC regarding the consent order, which was sent following the January 2012 meeting, an additional copy of the consent order was sent to respondent prior to setting a date for a formal hearing. Respondent submitted a more substantive response providing copy of a proof for the subject advertisement, an original newspaper page which contained the ad, a handbill, and a copy of the sign order. Respondent states that the firm number is included on all. It appears that the firm number is included in all materials, including the subject advertisement, but it is very small and difficult to read. Respondent concedes that the font size is small, but states that the rule does not specify size. Respondent does state that after this issue was brought to its attention, templates for future advertisements have included the firm number in a larger font size, and therefore the recommendation is to dismiss.
Questions from the board?
If he complied and they were actually in there, I agree. I've never seen anything that says what a font size is.
The rule does not require it, and it's one of those things where it was very difficult to read, especially in the copy that was in the file. It appears that it was in there, and it has certainly been addressed in the future, he assures. That's why it's being represented, I
I'll
believe.
make a motion to dismiss.
I second.
Been made and second, I'll say, in favor, say aye.
I have a question.
So,
On your advertising, do you just have to put the firm number, or do you have to put your name of the company,
the license
social
name.
security number? What is required?
It's the rule that was referenced in there. I believe it's the license firm name and the firm number. I'll pull it up just to be sure. It states, advertising in any form that is designed to give notice of an upcoming auction must include the name and license number of the auction firm or gallery responsible for holding the sale. So that is the rule that requires it.
Just your name doesn't work.
Right, the license number is supposed to be included pursuant to that rule.
But if you use your firm number instead of your license number, then that's okay.
It's got to be a firm license.
Firm license number.
Your auctioneer license number.
The rule says the firm name and firm license number.
And on this one, because I had presented this in January, this gentleman, he didn't submit that substantive response until he realized we were going forward on the formal hearing. And on the $250 offer of settlement, it was my hope that he certainly do that. $250 consent order seemed to me to be very, to go forward on the formal hearing. Didn't seem real efficiently economical. So it was then, he was certainly not happy about getting that other consent order, but it was then that he responded with the information that Julie was able to.
He sort of ignored it until we held his feet to the fire. Next slide.
Okay. This is number 6 through 12, 2011 010 10601, 2011 010 10611, 2011 010 081, 2011 010 791, 2011 010 771, 2011010591, 2011010071, and 2011010801. This was originally presented at the August 2011 meeting. Some complaints were previously approved by the Commission for summary suspension. Since then, more complaints have been added to the original number of 4 against a firm in public automobile auction. Talk is opening complaints against the sponsoring auctioneer as well. The non-auctioneer owner of the firm remains in federal custody according to all information received by legal for numerous serious crimes. The sponsoring auctioneer is a co-defendant and a witness for the U.S. government. Complaints have stopped at this time from coming in, but all cases need to be combined and sponsoring auctioneer included. There is no information that the sponsoring auctioneer is currently doing business. The recommendation was to approve all complaints for summary suspension and open and add sponsoring auctioneer and set for a hearing at the May auctioneer meeting. The decision was approved. These matters, complaints which were opened against this gallery and public automobile auction were based on 4 complaints. The essence of these complaints is that respondents auctioned vehicles for complainants and paid with bad checks. One complainant also stated that respondents had vehicles in respondent's lot that complainant could not get, and complainant purchased and paid for vehicles from respondents, and respondents would not provide a title. These matters were transferred to litigation to be set for a hearing. Since that time, the litigation attorney has obtained information through a federal correction institution that the non-auctioneer owner of respondents is incarcerated until the year 2027. Further, respondents' licenses number 5619 and number 17 have expired earlier this year and passed the 2-month period within which Tennessee Code annotated section 62-19-111J allows licensees to renew following expiration date. Therefore, the recommendation is to close and flag these files.
Is that also true for the sponsoring auctioneer?
The sponsoring auctioneer is also in a separate federal correctional institution awaiting sentencing from 2 federal district courts and has not been released. His licenses have also expired. A 2-month window of renewal has not passed, and so he will be similarly presented in November, provided he doesn't attempt to renew.
What happened? They still got up to 2 years to renew. So what happens in that case?
Well, if they try to renew, then they're flagged, and one of them's under summary suspension anyway, and the other one would not be able to renew without the case being reopened.
In other words, he would slip through the cracks.
Right.
It sounds like the federal government has got far more teeth than we've got. Might want to let them handle it.
These gentlemen did some rather interesting things.
Well,
Not involving auctioneer business completely.
but they should never, ever have a Tennessee auctioneer license again to be able to do the same thing.
Well, I think if they reapplied, they would have to disclose their felony convictions, and that they would not be able to get a license.
You can't do nothing now that says that they'd never be able to obtain a Tennessee auctioneer license. I don't think there's a mechanism in order to bar.
The way it's been explained to me, as far as we've had this in another board that I deal with, the reason for closing and flagging these would be these people, obviously their license is expired. They no longer have a property interest in this license, and these prior complaints, the reason for flagging is they can be considered as a reason for granting or denying licensure if this person applies for a new license in the future, along with any felony convictions, which are obviously carrying with these people. So
I don't think they could, if they applied to renew, or if they applied for a new license in the year 2028, unless our system
Crashes and burns.
crashes and burns
Bring
or
that
something,
application.
I think it would be on record that they were closed and flagged due to this case, and that would block them from receiving a new separate license.
Has anybody ever been barred from getting a license, auctioneer license in Tennessee?
There's been several applications denied.
Not for, that I've ever known, not to say you can never apply.
Perspective.
Because we proved to people that had felony convictions, because all of them were serious.
That's what I was getting at, we have.
Oh, yeah, we have, so I mean, I don't think we ought to, and I don't know these folks not taking up for them, but I don't think we need to get in a position anyway to say, people make mistakes and some things can happen. You know, that, you could look at somebody or something 20 years from now. I'd make a motion, we accept legal recommendations, close the flag.
I'll second that.
Been made and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Motion passes. Does that conclude your legal report?
That does, that's the last matter on it, yes, sir.
Let's do this, let's go back up to the update on seminars and newsletters. I see Russell Orr is in the audience. Russell, if you want to come forward and give your presentation.
Well, good morning. I apologize for being late. It was a bad day to come in from the east side of town in Nashville this morning, so we made it. As far as seminars and newsletters, the fall newsletter is available for view on the state website, and it is in production for postage to licensees, so they'll be forthcoming in people's mailboxes, but right now it's on the website. And we have a seminar coming up this Friday at the Riverstone Resort and Spa in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And we are looking at subsequent dates in 2013, early February and May. So we don't have those dates locked down. We are negotiating on the Natchez Trace State Park for the West Tennessee seminar in February. Questions?
Questions from the board?
And congratulations, Commissioner Phillips. Welcome back.
Oh, and before you get away, congratulations to you and Wendell.
Thank you very much.
Recent nuptials.
Oh, I didn't.
Congratulations.
We got married.
We nuptialed August 31st.
All right.
It's nice to keep it secret.
That should be all over the newsletter.
Well, it wasn't really that. It wasn't a secret. It was just
That was probably the worst kept secret I've ever.
the worst kept secret. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it. That was going on. Does Wendell know it?
Wait a minute.
All right.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda would be an apprentice auctioneer application residency waiver on tab 3.
Okay, Mr. McBroom is in the audience today. If you'll turn to tab 3, you'll see that on September the 19th, we received a letter from him requesting that he come in today and talk to you about a residency waiver now that he is residing in Missouri. So, Mr. McBroom, if you'll come up to the microphone and let them know what you're requesting.
Absolutely appreciate being here. Thanks again for the audience. Recently, I moved to Missouri. That's the reason for the statement on the application. I'm just off of active duty, military. Been a lifelong resident of Tennessee for 33 years. But my wife, we looked all around Tennessee to try to find employment. She's a professor. She found one as close as we could, in Cape Girardeau, in SEMA there, and so that's where we reside. My parents, they run Elders Auction on Ripley, Tennessee. It's 3955 is phone number, 4531 is license number. The plan while I was on active duty was to get off and help them because they're getting a little bit older. So of course I went to auction school and did everything right and was, forthcoming on the application. And I just, did to the best of my ability, to write everything that was factual. I didn't want to say, oh, I live here, or no, I just want to tell the truth. So here I'm just before you, asking for a residency waiver. I'm approximately an hour and a half away from Ripley, Tennessee. I will be apprenticing under John Elder, the auctioneer, which is my stepfather, and just plan on helping him out for this. That's one.
Questions from the board?
place where you do that. I know we turned it down now in Florida.
How close to the state line is another, does Missouri have a license on it?
No, sir. They do not. And if it does help, I do own property here and do plan to return.
I understand, and I'm not against you doing it. I don't think, the way I remember, just a few months ago, 6-8 months ago, and I think, when no company speaks to somebody wrestling.
My recollection on this,
Number 5.
was simply because, he was residing in the licensee was residing in Florida. And his father lived in Florida, and, Tennessee Friends license number of the license officer residing in a different state, created some issues. It was pointed out that in those discussions that I did with the original assistant, but it was pointed out that closer to state lines, there's not so much of a problem that the commission does have some discretion here. The concern was to engage in unsupervised activity.
I think I'm reading the rule right now, and I'll preface this by saying we have to be careful under constitutional provisions of denying people because of where the residency is. So that's a consideration. We have to show that there are compelling reasons why. So I just say that to preface, but as the rules as it's written talk about a sponsoring auctioneer. Under 0160-01-.12, apprentices, sponsors, and supervision. All sponsoring auctioneers shall reside in the same state as his or her apprentice auctioneers. However, in appropriate cases, upon good cause being shown, the commission may waive this rule. So that's under the commission's rules. So I think you do have the discretion in a situation where you have a case where there is sponsoring auctioneers here as opposed to sponsoring auctioneer being out of state. I think that would certainly be an issue to raise. But where you have a sponsoring auctioneer that is present, you may have an apprentice auctioneer who lives across the state line. In some cases, it could be just a matter of minutes. In Mr. Broom's case, it's an hour and a half. So under those provisions, I think the commission can discuss whether or not it's appropriate to waive the residency requirement. You're not waiving it for the sponsoring auctioneer, you're basically waiving it for the apprentice auctioneer who's going to be coming into the state to work. So I think that falls within the commission's, at least from my interpretation, it looks like it would be my opinion that it falls within the commission's ability to waive such, or not.
But this wouldn't affect, in other words, you're still saying that a sponsoring auctioneer cannot be out of state.
I think the rule is clear, yes. I think in that case that Russ is talking about, you have a sponsoring auctioneer that's out of state being sought to supervise within the state. I think the commission is fully within its, purview to say, well, no, that doesn't fall within the residency requirements. Here you've got a reverse situation.
Is this going to be your sole occupation?
Yes, sir, currently. I have recently interviewed with the University of Southeast Missouri for a director position, but I don't know if that's going anywhere or not, because, again, I didn't know if this was going to go through or not. So, of course, I have to look for other sources of revenue. I have assisted them, and I have, been ringman and been involved in this business. They've had an auction license and an auction business for over 20 years. So it predates me even being in the military. I kind of grew up in it. And then once I graduated out of Ripley High School, I joined the military and have been gone ever since. And then just sort of, moved up. Like I said, I tried to move as close as I could to the state of Tennessee, but I couldn't penalize my wife for taking a job as a professor.
Right.
So that was the whole deal.
I'm not sure.
Well, I do know
I don't want to open a can of worms.
Well, I think it's a case by case basis. I don't, certainly this may lead to somebody else who lives on the north side of the Kentucky line coming here and trying to do that. But again, it depends on their situation.
I know one time in East Tennessee, there was a guy that lived in Virginia, and this was, I think, on the last year that I was here. He lived in Virginia just inside, and it was like miles before he could go to an auction and do his apprenticeship. So we let him do it based on that. I think I would make a motion to let you get your apprentice license under your father's auction business, and if you I guess walk the line is the correct word. Good. That would be my recommendation.
So you're making a motion that we go along with the waiver.
Yes, sir.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion passes. You have your waiver.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tab 4, our meeting schedule for next year. We can get that out of the way. Are we going to bring Mr. Sanders up now, or are we going to? Which is his?
He's tab 8.
Tab 8. Let's go through the meeting schedule, and then we'll do tab 8, and then we'll move on.
All right.
The meeting schedule for next year is under tab 4. What the proposal is that we not have a meeting in June, and we not have a meeting in September, and not have one in December and January. So it would give us 8 meetings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meetings. As I was telling Donna earlier, the December meeting is always in Nashville of the TAA. So that's usually a plus for me, to get me to go to the TAA meeting and then the TAC meeting the next day. That's, I don't know, what's your opinion on that? And the June meeting, I don't know where the summer commission is next year.
But the TAA meeting was Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday, right? Well, for example, if we did something, TAA meeting in Knoxville or Division 4 or Memphis, then it's not.
It never happened. all TAA meetings, winter meetings are in there.
Oh, I'm talking about the summer.
Oh, the summer one. I'm confused.
No, the winter one, I'd rather be here than combine those two. But the summer one, I can understand why they want to avoid that.
I'd rather move it to where we are. Real estate commission meets around the state. That would help us, and then some people could get continuing education and come to this meeting. I think that has to go through the legislature or something.
It has to go through the assistant commissioner and possibly the commissioner's office.
But the one in January, I understand that. My big concern is being able to, if we still got a backlog of hearings, and we start limiting the number of meetings that we have, then it's going to be hard to get through them all.
It's the same schedule you've had for the past 2 years.
No, I know. But we had one in June this year.
And the weather, I think December, you never know what the weather's gonna be, same thing in January, but if you want to, we haven't, these rooms, these meeting rooms are already being taken up by all the other boards too. If you decide to meet on a Monday after the TAA meeting, but doesn't the TAA meeting happen on Monday too?
No.
Yes.
Well,
They have speakers.
Well, they have all they have on Monday is the education portion. All the meetings and the dinner are on Sunday.
But the board members usually attend that. I know that Mr. Colson wasn't he a president or chairman or something of that organization for a while and had to go to those meetings?
You can't, the way our rules are with TAA, you can't be on that board and be on this board at the same time. It doesn't matter.
Every meeting that I attended, and when I was on, we had the meeting on Sunday and came here for our meeting on Monday.
Right. That's what we did too.
And I would like to keep it that way personally.
Me too.
Do you know when the TAA meeting will be in December?
It's usually the first weekend.
It'll be the first or second. Maybe the rest.
It's always the first weekend in December.
Do you want us to try to schedule a meeting that Monday?
But what if we put it down and do that and then we don't need it, because we cancel it like we're gonna do it? Does that pose a problem? We've called auction meetings already.
Yes, for lack of business, we have.
That'd be my only recommendation, if we do have one, leave everything up through December exactly the way it's written, but maybe include a meeting in December. So that if we need it, we got it, we can have a hearing if we need to. But we're already here. This saves us an extra drive.
I'll have Ms. Lockhart try to schedule a room and she'll notify you the date and then update this for you at the next meeting.
All right, perfect.
Okay?
We don't need a motion on that, do we? Or do you? Not really. Anyway,
No.
that's fine. All right, well, let's go to, down to the auctioneer application for John Sanders. John, if you want to come forward.
This will be under tab 8 of your book.
Morning. Thank you for allowing me here to be today, Mr. Collins. I really appreciate your help. The situation I have at hand is I've done my apprenticeship and went to my 30-hour class at National Auction School for my auctioneer license. When I went to register online with PSI to take my exam, they said that they couldn't re-register me for the exam because I had already taken it and had already passed it. And going back to that scenario, what happened there, when I was taking my apprentice auctioneer license test at PSI, I had taken it, I believe it was 3 or 4 times, I can't give you the exact number, but regardless, I didn't pass them the first time I was taking them. And then I went back and sat down and took the test and I passed. So excited that I'd even passed the test, never looked at one piece of paper, just did what I needed to do, sent it into the state. And what happened was PSI had given me the auctioneer portion of the test, not the apprentice, and I had passed it back in 2008. Well, that wasn't acceptable for my apprenticeship, so I had to go back to PSI and retake the apprentice auctioneer license, which I did pass during the time that I took it. And the question at hand is do I need to go back to PSI? PSI is telling me that they can't re-register me for that exam because I've already taken it, and to do that they have to completely wipe out my history with the test program, so I didn't really understand what the problem was with that. But the question is, do I need to go back and retake that exam if I've already passed it back in 2008? Because I know the requirements are 80 hours of schooling, 2-year apprenticeship, which I did a 4-year apprenticeship, and then the 30-hour auction class, which I've done, and then you had to pass the auctioneer exam, which I've also done back in 2008 and have.
You did everything out of order, saying.
Well, I did everything in order except that part.
All right.
That's just.
But it was in order as far as you were concerned, PSI just gave you the wrong test.
Exactly, yes, sir.
And you've already passed your auctioneer test, you've already passed your apprentice test.
Yes, sir. Done all the other
In reverse
steps.
order.
We passed it.
Yeah, that's right.
What, did we pass a motion, or was it a policy here? I know we did last year, that you had to take this test within so many months of when the license would be issued. People were going, taking the test early. We voted and passed that you had to sit for this exam. You couldn't take it as soon as you took the apprentice. I believe that was in the minutes.
You mean you couldn't take the auctioneer exam right
couldn't.
after taking the,
We voted that down.
I don't remember that.
And we had,
I'm sorry.
90 days, has to be within 90 days. That might have been before you got here, I don't know.
I don't remember that.
But it came up.
I don't know.
People were going, taking the apprentice, and then, you know, they all have your schooling, so they'll go right back and take the principal thing.
Still have to do a 2-year program.
But Martin, I believe this gentleman has a different situation than, I remember distinctly when we did that and the reason we did it. But it seems to me that this is not an error on his part, this is an error on the people giving him the test.
Yes, sir.
They gave him, if I understand it correctly, he applied to take an apprentice auctioneer license test. They gave him an auctioneer test.
Yes.
Which he was lucky to pass. Then, when he served his time as an apprentice, he went back to PSI and applied to take an auctioneer license, and he had to take the apprentice because he'd already passed the auctioneer. They wouldn't give it to him twice. Am I correct?
Yeah, yes, you are correct, but what had happened, when I sent my paperwork in immediately after I passed the auctioneer test, not knowing that it was the auctioneer test, just excited that I had finally passed the test, I sent it in to you all, to the state, and they, called me and said, hey, you passed the auctioneer portion, you need to go back, as soon as you can to retest on, you need to pass the apprentice auctioneer test for us to allow you to get your apprenticeship license. So I did that, and when I did that, I passed it, sent in my paperwork, started my apprenticeship. I actually did a 4-year apprenticeship under my father, and then after that, I completed my apprenticeship, went to the auction school to get my auctioneer license, went back to PSI, and then that's when they told me, you've already taken your auctioneer test, which I knew I had done, but they were saying they couldn't reschedule me because I had already taken it and passed the test, and they would have to, they had some kind of technical difficulty where they were having to, they would have to rewipe my history or something like that, and I asked them, what they suggested me do, and they said, well, I would call the state to see if the state would allow you, would accept that you've already passed this test back in 2008, that you've already done all your other requirements here and after. Because I did my 80-hour class, my 80-hour auction school, my apprenticeship,
You said Athens, you're talking about Athens, Tennessee, not Athens, Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't say Athens, I don't
Oh,
believe
okay,
it.
I'm sorry, I thought you said an address.
No, sir.
Have you been active in the auction business ever since you passed your test? Or have you been working or doing something else?
I have a full-time job that I do. That's my main occupation. I work for the road department. But you're talking about since I passed my apprentice test?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I would do it with my dad on the weekends. His times are mainly on Saturdays. That's where I worked and got all my log hours and everything with him. But I didn't do it full-time, though, because actually right after I had gotten those licenses, my wife and I found out we were having a baby, and auctioneer work is every 30 days you might get a check, and it might be 90 or 120, so I got a guaranteed money job. But I now have come into a situation, and I never did think of going to get my auctioneer license because I was doing it with my dad and never really had an opportunity or never even thought about going out on my own. Well, now an opportunity has arrived to me to where I would have to have my own license and my own firm license in that situation to accept the job, which I would like to do. But that's why, if it hadn't been for this situation that came up, then I probably would have never, you know, I mean, I'm comfortable there with my dad doing it with him, underneath him, and, but opportunity has arisen, and I'm trying to stretch out and do it on my own. Of course, with the help of my dad, because he just had to do it.
Well, I honestly believe that I am so confused that I can't give you an answer. I'd like for somebody to clarify how I got so confused. I think that,
Can I try one more time?
Let me ask you.
no, I heard you.
Oh,
I want to see if anybody else is interpreting the
When
same
you
way.
you took the auctioneers, you took the auctioneer exam in February of 2008, is that correct?
yes, sir.
When did you take the apprentice exam?
March, or shortly after.
In 2008?
Yes, sir. I passed the Tennessee Auctioneer exam in February 2008, went back and passed the Apprentice Auctioneer exam in April 2008.
What happened, you said you had,
And the reason for
you failed the test 2 or 3 times,
4 times, it shows right here,
4 times, and then you came back and they gave you a principal instead
of the apprentice.
of apprentice.
I passed that.
Okay, he passed it, but the commission said, I don't remember anything about it, I wasn't even on it, but when he comes before the commission, he takes the wrong test, they send him back to take the apprentice, is that right?
I never came before the commission. I
No, that's what I'm saying, you just
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
called or filed an application, and the commission said,
You've taken the wrong test.
you gotta go back and pass your apprentice test.
Yes, sir.
And that's what he did, and
And the reason I can explain the reason there was the gap there, the month difference. I attended real estate school after passing that, because that's what my dad does, so I was just going along with it, and had scheduled the testing for my real estate inside of there, and then that was my first weekend available to take the apprentice again, and I did pass it.
it's not in the rules of law, but we voted in the commission.
Has that been 90 days?
There is a rule that somewhat addresses it, not with reference to the licensee. It's Rule 0160-01-.06, and it says the commission shall, in conjunction with the current contractor, administer the examination on the dates provided by the contractor, 5 days per week, excluding holidays, provided, however, that no examination shall be administered to an applicant who lacks more than 90 days completing the 2-year apprenticeship.
Lacks more than 90 days.
Right, but that's with
Within the
regard
last
to
90
the
days.
exam provider, not with regard to the applicant. It appears they did. However, I don't know the prior version of this rule. The effective date of this rule as amended is December of 2008, 10 months after he took the test. I'm not sure what the rule was worded as that was in effect at the time that he took the exam. I don't have the
Well,
old
it looked to me like what we need to do is to give information to instruct the test, and then administer another test, or to maybe take the apprentice test. Whoever was on the commission back then, maybe go back and take the apprentice test, you know.
You took your test in January and April of 2008.
Yes, sir.
February, I believe.
I passed the auctioneer portion in February, and then I went back and
April
passed
said that was effective until October.
How many years ago was 2008?
Well, our exam hasn't changed since '08. Did you pay for both exams?
Yes, ma'am.
Both times?
Yes, ma'am. Paid every time. $155 a pop.
I'm ready to make a motion, but it's not, I'm not going to second. I make a motion since he has taken and passed an apprentice test, served his apprenticeship, taken his auctioneer license and passed it, that he be in good standing with the auctioneer commission.
Thanks.
I second it. I'd like to have some discussion.
Let's have discussion.
The only thing is, I just want to be sure before we vote, now, this is not going to affect our 90-day rule or anything, because this mistake was made before what you're saying, that rule, the amended rule was passed.
Before this rule as written here was.
Right. So he really is grandfathered, right?
Yes, I think under legal argument, that rule would apply. Now, somebody came in after, that would not be the case, but this happened before that rule. But,
So I thought the motion would go.
yes.
It's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
approved.
very much.
3 days.
All right, let's go back up to the complaint comparison report under tab 5.
Well, it's our monthly report. Top grid, you will see the complaints that were pending October 30th of 2011.
Just did.
Let's just follow.
Which one tab what? There you go.
And the bottom grid is October, 30th of 2012. Actually, that should be September 30th, because that's when this report was run. There were 79 pending complaints October 30th of last year. This year, there are 67 pending. Good many of them, as you saw today, will come off of there. So,
Yeah, we have 13 in one of them, right?
yes, today, yes. And then if we could finally get rid of those 30 that are close to 40 that are pending, we'd be in pretty good shape.
That'd be 57 complaints that came off of that. Okay. All right.
Any questions on that?
Any questions from the board?
Tab 6 then is your budget report. When I brought you a rough draft of a budget report last month, I believe Vice Chair Morris asked me to bring some information in on where we stand with the fees that are coming in.
Right.
So that first page under tab 5 shows you a revenue comparison report by fiscal year and where your fees do come from. And you'll see in those columns that fiscal year 9 and 10, those are of course closed out years. And you'll see the majority of your fees came from renewals and from miscellaneous late fees. Miscellaneous fees, late fees. That's when we started really monitoring and keeping up with the folks who renew late and having them pay the correct fees to reapply. Then 10 and 11, same scenario. 11 and 12, those are still preliminary figures. We do not have the final closeout budget report for fiscal year 11 and 12. And what we're doing is on a monthly basis, I'm bringing you the fees that are being received month by month, although this goes through July the 31st because we're always running about 2 months behind.
I got it. So this is 1 month's activity, basically?
Yes,
Okay.
1 month activity in that.
I was wondering why it was such a low number.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes. So, if there are no questions on fees, if you'll turn the page, is a brief report on your education and recovery fund, showing your balance for 10 and 11, also 11 and 12. That is still pending also as preliminary. I'll bring you the final budget report when we get it, probably in October. Then the right-hand column is where we are. We've only so far been reported $1,800 to us that you've got in that account for since 1 month, July 1st through July 31st.
We're averaging a net gain between 22 and 25,000 a year, is what you're showing here.
And that appears to be what's tracking, yes.
Well, the 190,000, is that what we have in our recovery fund now?
That's the preliminary figure we have in there right now.
Okay. And we're averaging, what, $50,000 expenses?
Yes, close to that.
Not many awards, though, right?
No, I think there was maybe one this year.
I'm sorry, I had it in front of me, but what,
Awards out of the recovery fund.
Or this,
we had one for 3,000 this year.
Okay.
All
I
right.
don't think the consumers typically know that that's there. I have complaints, to me, people in my area that, get issue bad checks or have auction companies that sell stuff and don't pay the people, and they don't know, they really don't know that fund is there. I don't know if it's something you want to advertise or not advertise, or how do you get that to the consumer or what, but, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people feel helpless that they don't think there is any, but people that hate lawsuits, they do it all the time, but they really don't like doing it. And I think they sometimes think it's fruitless against the guy that gives them a bad check to start with. But that fund is there for their protection and their use. And I don't know if there's something we ought to say more about or publicize or what have you. But it does. I try to tell people I know that there is a way to recover.
There's specific provisions you've got to follow.
Right.
And it's not as simple as just saying, hey, I've been cheated.
Right.
Give me some money.
Right.
The best thing to do, obviously, is to have an attorney do it for you.
Right.
Of course, because you have to file a lawsuit, give notice that you're going to file a lawsuit to the commission.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, I think, they don't read that provision in the code.
Right.
But you're right, they don't know about it.
And if it's $2,000 or $3,000, you're better off to suffer than you are to hire an attorney and spend $4,000 or $5,000.
That's the problem. And I think there's a cap of 20. Yeah, I think it's 10 or 20.
I was thinking 20.
But most damages are not. 10.
Wait a minute.
10 on this.
10 per transaction.
But 20 is the most you can get on any deal, right?
Yes. And then around $20,000 on behalf of the licensee.
We have, under the commission's direction, notified some clients that they were, eligible. And
Once they file a complaint.
absolutely, and they didn't. And one was a school district that you would have thought would have availed themselves to that. They didn't.
A lot of times, they've been gone to for do that, right? That's the bad thing.
Right.
If you say here a while back, or somebody saying here that when I brought it up, they had to file previously before we went through the lawsuits to tell you that's going to do it.
They have to give notice that they are going to file suit against the person, and prior to filing the suit, then file the suit. And when they get the judgment, they bring the judgment to the commission, and that's when it's ordered.
That's a bad deal. They shouldn't have to give notice.
And that's what gets a lot of people, is because they go ahead and they file suit, and then they contact us, and they say, well, I didn't know I had to notify you before I filed suit.
What do we have to do to change that?
That's in the code. That would be a legislative change.
That needs doing.
We can get it done. Probably get it
Well, I
done.
mean, what's the use of having this if we was better off with a bond, except this is a lot cheaper on it. We was better off with a bond for as the public's concerned. But I don't think on a bond you have to give notice.
File a claim for money. All righty. Any other questions about the budget?
I'm not sure, there's one more page
All right.
of your expenditures. The last two columns, for, of course, the preliminary expenditures for 11 and 12. Again, there's more to be added to that report. And then fiscal year, so far what's been spent the first month of this fiscal year.
Again, being 1 month.
Yes.
Well, at least we had better, revenue gains for 11, 12 than it did for 10, 11. So it's way less than 9, 10. What purview do we have as a board to, in terms of approving or looking or examining or having anything to do with the outcome of this?
Outcome of the budget?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's helpful for you to track, especially where your revenue's coming from.
Right.
And to track it year by year and month by month to see, so you can project ahead to see if there's fee increase due or if there's fee increase needed in the future, or if maybe some adjustment of fees in some way.
Fees have been steady for how long?
Well, you know, last year took a hit. I think we were about $40,000 less last year in revenue than you were the year before. But when I brought that in to you, it seemed to be that was just the economy speaking, because we did have fewer applications, we had fewer renewals, we had fewer everything in 10 and 11. So you'll see there was 243,000 that 10 and 11 brought in versus 325 from the year before that. So that was some concern. This year, it's a little bit better than 10 and 11 so far. I'm hoping that number will even go up even more. But we'll just have to see where it falls out.
I guess my question was, how long have our rates been?
Oh, the fees, how long have they been established? Do you remember, Austin? I mean, they were...
The way I remember it, it's been several years, I bet. 10, 12 years.
They went up one time while I was on the commission, that was the last 12 years. It's probably been 10 years. I think it's time to go down with that.
Looks like the last time that the rule regarding fees was amended was 2008. However, I don't know if it
I think that was penalty fees, right?
no, these are fees for licensure and things like that. It says the last time that it was amended was 2008. However, there's some other provisions in here. It may not have been actual amounts that were changed. I don't have the old version. I just have the current one. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it may have just simply been an addition of a line. But, you know, we're discussing rule changes, so this might be something to consider. However, I know that the Commissioner's Office is very concerned with fee change. So, I mean, we might want to work this in with this set of rules we've been discussing.
Does our years fluctuate now? I know at one time, years ago, 1 year, the way the license was renewed would be way up, the next one way down. But if we change that, the way it's collected, I think, where it was supposed to make that more steady.
It's put on a monthly rotating basis, separated out so many per month until you got evened out monthly on a monthly basis.
How are we going now with our revenue we got? What are we going to look like before the Sunshine Committee this next week?
Tomorrow. Yes, and I was going to let you guys know about that. I was asked to invite the chairman in for the meeting tomorrow.
Bob said it's going to be there.
Yes, Bob's coming. Any of you that want to attend are welcome to come too. I think the more the merrier. I haven't seen the audit, so I don't know if they tapped us with anything yet. I'm hoping I'll get to see that this afternoon. I know in talking to one of the auditors who was in my office frequently, there was an issue with the Education and Recovery Fund being brought below, is it $100,000 it's supposed to stay in there? 150. As you know, that fund was brought below 150, and once that occurs, the commission is not supposed to spend money out of that account. The only money that was spent out of that account after that happened was the contract with National Auction School. So it's kind of a, if they ding us, that may be what it was, what it is for.
But the state took that money, because we called them when they took that money and brought it to the attention of that.
Right.
Because I called up here
But once that
They
happens,
said they were gonna take it regardless, they had the right to do it.
We had a lot of money when they took it in.
What they get us for, 100 or something?
oh, I thought it was like 300 something when the total amount, and then
It was over 300 when they,
I believe, but I'm not certain of that. So
But that
anyway,
recovery fund says we gonna spend the interest on it over 150, is that right, or the amount of money over that?
I'm not 100% sure, but,
so when you're talking about spending money, you're talking about sending, what they call them, investigators.
No, they took away our investigator, no money comes out for that.
no, the only expenses that come out of the Education Recovery Fund are the awards, or, a contract with National Auction School for newsletters and seminars.
So what else are you asking us to do anything, or what are you proposing here?
Always need help. No, I just wanted to make you aware of tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And, the sunset hearing at 9 a.m. in room 12, Legislative Plaza. If any of you would like to join me and Bobby.
And our fee right now to be an auctioneer is how much?
175.
And that's for 2 years.
Well, there's plus 50 for the education recovery. Total is 225.
No, it's 225, 225 application fee, $50 education recovery is 275, and it's 225 for the year.
That's every other year. So, you know, to me, that is cheap.
Cheap,
Yeah, cheap, $100-something a year to be in business.
200 and something.
Oh, you renew it every other year, so that means you get
Oh,
it
yeah.
every year.
112.50.
Yeah, 112.50. You know, so I think if we catch some black or something at the sunset law, which it says we got to stay in the black. And after what comes out, we look, if we lose another $40,000 this year, we need to look at, just the fees.
Or cutting expenses. Or cutting expenses.
Well, how you gonna cut them? You gotta have help. You gotta have, what you gonna cut?
I don't know, I think expenses, I mean, I think.
I don't believe the legal department's gonna cut their fee.
I don't think and I don't raise mine either. Hey, those people got auctioneer license that maybe they don't need to have them, but $200 and some every other year is a strain on them to pay, especially people that are working, not just hanging on. They're not all, maybe throwing in the barrel, but I can see going up. Anyway.
Tab 7, if you're ready to move along.
I am.
At your last meeting, I brought to you this application for you to approve a course provider by the name of EZLR24 Online Training School. He was asking you to approve his 6-hour auctioneer package. Mr. Jason Tran. You looked at that and asked me to get more information.
Right.
So we copied part of what you saw in August. And the very back page, we also copied the minutes where you asked that,
He's having trouble finding it. I was just, I think that's
Try and keep up. Is it on there?
you asked that he, yes, anyway, you wanted more information on his personal qualifications. Very last page under that tab is what he sent me on September the 27th, showing his experience in Texas and his experience in North Carolina. I did call him personally right after our board meeting on August the 6th and told him what you wanted and that I had to have it by October 1st, and that's what he sent.
So he said it was a 6-hour auctioneer course approved by Texas Department of License. 1,500 students have taken the course over the last 2 years. Okay, and a 4-hour course in North Carolina, 500 students taking that course. But he doesn't know anything about the auctioneer business. He just knows about having the online school business, which I think is concerned with.
This gonna come to a vote. Could I get a little bit more background, please?
This was, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we defer this because I heard it's not heard or read the application, he's not seen his application, there's 2 members not present, and, I think the person deserves for everybody to be knowledgeable about what it was. And I'd like to table this to next month, where he has time to see that if he wants to see the other application and all, because he's going to be asked to vote on something that knows nothing about.
Okay.
Well, we copied, he sent us a book. I don't want to copy that for everybody. I'll be happy to bring it in at the next meeting. But we did send Judy copies of his top pages of his application.
But I don't know any background. All I know is what I've heard in 30 seconds, and I might be keeping somebody from getting a license, or I might be giving somebody a license that's not entitled to one.
It's not a license. He wants to teach an online course to auctioneers.
It's an education provider. That's what it's looking for. And it has to be approved by this board. The motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been made and seconded to table this to the next meeting. Let's just do that. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, there we go.
That's all
I have the rules I've been working on. I took Commissioner Alexander's notes and tried to work them into these. This past several weeks have been very busy. I just completed these at the end of last week. Otherwise, I was planning to see if we could email these out to you all beforehand. If it would be all right, since we're missing 2 commissioners, Mr. Phillips is kind of brand new to this discussion. If I handed out copies and email to the 2 commissioners that aren't here, would it be all right if you all review them over this next month so that we can have an informed discussion next month about trying to put these in final form to get started? I'll be happy to give y'all copies today and then email to the 2 that aren't present, and that way we have a full informed commission next month.
That's what I prefer.
Okay.
Any problem with that?
No,
Okay, good deal. All right. Let's see, educational rights, state rules. I think it's covered everything. Is there any new business to be brought up before the commission today? So I'll entertain a motion.
I want to congratulate Phillips for doing that.
I'm happy to be back.
Well, I'm glad that that's you, and I look forward to working with you over the next 2.5 years, whatever I've got left.
Jeff said he's going to change everything wrong, so I want you to.
Yeah, right. Right.
No, just kidding.
I might help make some of that that's wrong.
There you go. Gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Made second, all in favor say aye.